November 2020 has come to an end, and what I am most thankful for is that streaming services exist throughout this pandemic. Like, can you imagine honestly going through this time without it? So yes, this month involved a lot of me not going to the movies and just watching movies at home. So here we go. This is what I watched November 2020. The first thing I watched this month was Borat, the sequel. I still don't want to say the entire title because it's way too long. But yeah, this was a rewatch and it's still just as good as the first time, even maybe slightly better on this watch. It's as solid as a sequel you can get, especially for a Borat movie. Next was Money Plane, and holy cow, this is my least favorite movie of maybe all time. This movie is so fascinating. It's almost bad to the point that it's good, but not even that. It's honestly just a bizarre film with so many weird elements that are fun to dissect and think about, and I have not stopped thinking about this movie since I first watched it. I then watched Brokeback Mountain, and this movie is very good. I don't know if it holds up or if it could be made again because it does feel very 2005, but stylistically and the acting within it are very moving, and it definitely deserves all the critical acclaim it gets, especially considering when it was made. Next was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and this is a very, very fun Thanksgiving movie. I don't know what a great holiday movie is, but this is as close as you can get. It's funny, it's charming, it makes you feel good. It's John Hughes working at his very best, and this dynamic duo just really sells it. Then I watched La La Land, one of my favorite movies of all time, and it is still just as magical as any other time I have watched it. Sure, every time I watch it, I notice things that I don't really appreciate as much, or maybe a couple more nitpicks, but overall the experience is still just very positive with this film. Unlike the next film that I watched, which was The Holiday. Yeah, this movie is really bad. I just cannot get over the premise that people want a date for every single holiday. Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, I think April Fool's Day might have even been involved. And it'd be funny if that was the joke, but I don't think it is the joke, at least not a joke that this film is trying to make. It makes fun of traditional rom-coms while being it at the same time. It's trying to be raunchy without being a raunchy comedy. It's just all over the place, and it's really just not great. So going back to a great movie, I watched West Side Story, and this is definitely deserving of all the praise it gets. My biggest takeaway from this is that I'm so curious to see how Steven Spielberg handles a remake of this movie, because this movie is something special. It is truly a cinematic masterpiece. It feels like you're watching an epic, and I don't know if Ansel Elgort has what it takes to pull off a remake. Next was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special. I'm gonna count this as a movie. It's close enough. For anyone who is a fan of the Fresh Prince, you are obviously going to love it. If you've never seen the show, don't even waste your time. It's simply just old friends hanging out. They're talking about specific instances in the show, but the dynamics that these real life actors have with each other is the most fascinating thing. A lot of the beef that they've had with each other over the years is brought to the surface. There's a lot of apologies, and there's a lot of just reminiscing on good times with a familiar family to us all. Next was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, and I haven't actually seen the first one, but this one wasn't that fun to me. I hear good things about the first, so maybe I'll give it a shot, but this one was just your basic animated children's movie, I suppose. Next was His House, a horror movie that I've been meaning to watch for a while now, and it definitely, I would say, matched the hype. It didn't exceed it. It wasn't any worse than what people were saying. It was just a solid horror movie. I would be surprised if this made my top 10 at the end of the year, but it's definitely the best horror movie probably of 2020. Next was Home Alone, and I like this movie. This is a movie that I don't think deserves all the hype, however. It's solid. It's good, and maybe it doesn't help that I didn't grow up on this and saw it at much later time in life. Just as a movie, I don't think it's fantastic, so that's probably the hottest take you're gonna get in this video. Next was Back to the Future Part 2, and I watched the first one a month ago, so maybe the month of December I'll watch Part 3. But honestly, Part 2 was a lot better than I remembered it being. I always just kind of assumed it was the worst of the three, and it probably still is, but it's still a very solid film, and I enjoy every part of it. Now for a movie I didn't enjoy, Hillbilly Elegy. I don't actually know how to say it, but it's terrible. This is by far one of the most Oscar-baiting movies you could possibly find. Look, I got nothing personal against Ron Howard. He has produced and directed a lot of amazing films, and also narrated one of my favorite shows of all time. However, when you see a movie like this, you have to wonder, what are you still doing? Amy Adams was fine. Glenn Close, felt like a Kate McKinnon character. That, and I don't know what this movie was trying to say. It paints this whole group of people in such a negative light, and there's really no positive message to it. It's just a mess, and it makes me really sad that Hans Zimmer was attached to it at all. Next was The Princess Switch. I went into this not knowing a single thing about it other than the title and Vanessa Hudgens. And let me tell you, it delivers. There's a princess, and then they switch. Beat for beat, if you're looking for a rom-com holiday feature, you're gonna get your money's worth. But the best part about this movie, and the thing I want to talk about the most, is that I didn't know there was a sequel. I literally just turned it on thinking that this was a one and done deal, and I made a joke at the end of it saying, just wait until the sequel when they add a third person. And guess what? The credits hit, and I see Netflix suggesting me The Princess Switch switched again. And as much as I dislike The Princess Switch, Switched Again was horribly worse. Again, there's really not much to say because I could go on and on about what was wrong with this movie with the dialogue, acting, and the screenplay, but it's one of those movies that there are people out there that are going to love it, so let them love it. It's fine. It's the holiday season. Go watch your movies. As far as shows go, I'm about 7 episodes into the first season of The Crown, and I'm pretty hooked. That and Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun is a must see. That's pretty much all I've been watching for TV though. That's November 2020, what I've been watching. Have you seen any of the above mentioned movies or shows? If so, comment below. Let me know what you thought of them. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you next time.